Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. This will be the third addition to the workshop, and I apologize for the delay. There's been a lot of work going on here, and I wasn't able to spend much time for this. Anyways, today I would like to cover intermediate HTML and CSS, mainly focusing on the CSS part, and at the end I will try to give you guys an assignment which you guys can do. I'd like to say a few things about assignment 1. I had received around 10 submissions, and I have given either feedback either through video or through detailed text messages. If I have missed yours, please do reach out. I think I've covered all of them. Anyways, instead of giving like the exact solution, like code solution, because the same assignment can be done X number of ways, right? It depends on how you see the presentation, how you see the project. But if it was given to me, how would I do it? So I'll just walk you through my view of how I would implement the same project. Okay, so I gave a template for the last assignment. It was not you're not required to follow the exact design, but those who did, here is how I would do it. Okay, so this whole website will be under one div, and inside the main div we'll have 3 separate divs. So one div for the header, one div for the content, and one div for the footer. Okay, so here you have a div, and inside the div you'll have 3 more divs with header, content, and footer. Okay, so let's go to the header now. So the header will have a property of display flex, and then the flex direction would be row, and then justify content would be space between. That property will give equal amount of space between each of the elements, but if you had noticed, there wouldn't be space on the left and right. So I will probably give padding, if we can look at the exact value. So I'd give padding left and right as 50, top and bottom as 25. Okay, that's header done. Now we come to the content part. So content part will again be split into multiple divs. First I would do one div for this part, one div for the photo, and then one div for the actual text content, right? So you have one whole div for the content, under which you'll have where I'll have 3 divs for this, and this. I'll give a display as flex, but flex direction as column. Okay, and under each div you guys can give the same thing again, flex display as flex, and then flex direction for this particular one I'll give again column, because they're arranged in a column wise, where the gap property will be given as 15 pixels each. Okay, and then I think align items is also required to align all the content in the center, right? For the image, I think many people struggle with this, but image is actually really simple. I'll put this, so this whole thing is a div, and I'll probably give a padding of value 20 pixels, and just put an image in the center. Put align item center and justify content center, you'll get this. That's really easy to do. And then after that we come to the content part. Content part is just a few paragraph tags, and then we have UL and LI tags, and another paragraph tag with for this I'll probably give if I'm doing it the div method, I'll probably do flex direction as column with the gap property probably like 10 pixels over here, or I would just use multiple paragraph tags and UL tags. That should also do the trick. Alright, and the same thing goes for the footer as well. Nothing special there. And yeah, that's about it. One more important thing that many people forgot was giving margins to the left and right of the whole document. So if you generally see, websites don't always stretch out from left to right, like content will always be, there'll always be a gap from the content to the website, right? So this is crucial for the website to look good. Try not to like stretch the content all the way to the side, like something like this, right? It does not look clean, right? So try to give some gap between the left and right so that it looks better. And yeah, that's about it. Pretty simple assignment, and some people did really great, and I really appreciated it. For those who did really well, I gave like a bit of a harsh critics, because you can really improve and it'll look really perfect. I think few people have even resubmitted from whatever feedback I had given, which I really appreciate. Okay, let's move on to what we'll be seeing today, which will be intermediate CSS. Today we'll be looking at a very important topic in CSS. It's called media queries. So media query, what it does is, websites can be opened in all sorts of devices. If the device has a browser, a website can be opened, right? And the website needs to look different for each device that you're viewing it on. So let's say you're viewing the same website on a laptop, it should look a certain way. If you open that website on your phone, it should look a certain way. Similarly, tablets, it should look a certain way. Because all these screens are of different sizes, you have to write code accordingly. So let's take this for example. The ones on the right, let's say they are monitors or TVs, 4K displays or stuff like that. Those have a larger area for stuff to be visible. And then you have laptops, common laptops that we use, which is of certain pixel range. And then you have tablets, and then in the end you have phones. So to make a website available for all the users, you have to write code for all the display sizes. This is what we call as responsive design or responsive layout. Okay, let me take an example. Of Tatva. This is a website that me and my team coded up. So Tatva is a event that takes place every year at NIT Calicut. So we made a website for that. So let's take this for example. This website works on all devices. It works on a laptop, it works on a tablet, it works on a mobile. Actually, all websites will work, but it's how those websites look on each one of those devices that matters. Okay, I'll take this section for example. So this is a section where we have 3 cards. So each one of them is a card over here. On a display like a laptop right now, you can view all the cards horizontally. You can place all the cards horizontally and it will look clean. But let's say if someone opens the same website on a phone, how will that look like? You can't just display all of these cards side by side on a mobile phone, because the width of a mobile phone is really small. So you have to design something like this. Let me make it into a mobile. Okay, so this is the same website, but this is how it will look on a mobile. So if I reload this, so you see that we are not displaying all 3 cards side by side. We are displaying them vertically, as in you scroll down to see each one of those cards. This provides a better user experience, because if you squish all 3 cards together on the horizontal, like side by side, the cards will look really small and people won't be able to see the details in the cards. So for example, this text, right? So you have to design according to the size of the display, right? This is where responsive design comes in. And to make a website responsive, we use something called media queries in CSS. Okay, let us take a simpler example to showcase what I've just explained. Let's take this for example. There are 6 cards that you want to display on the devices, and this is a desktop, as in a laptop screen. You can place 3 cards of size 400 by 400 pixels. So this box over here is of size 400 by 400 pixels. So on a desktop or laptop view, you are able to place 3 cards horizontally, and then the rest of the cards are placed vertically, as in the next 3 cards are placed below them, right? You can keep doing this. So let's say the website is scrollable, and then you can just copy paste. So this is how it will look like. Let's say you have 12 cards in a desktop. This is how it will look like. You'll be able to see 3 cards in one horizontal row, and then you have to scroll to see the rest. But the same in a this is a tablet view. The same in a tablet, you have to design differently. So I was able to place 3 over here, but since the dimensions of the display is changed, you can only fit 2 cards over here, but you also have to reduce the size of the card. So here it was 400 by 400, but here I have reduced it to 300 by 300, right? Again, this is just an example. This is how you may do it. So I have placed 3 here. You could probably place only 2, right? It's up to you. You could probably place only 1 here, right? The design depends upon you, but this is just for an example. So I'm able to place 2 over here of reduced size of 300 by 300 pixels. Same thing on a horizontal view in a tablet, because tablet can be used in a horizontal and vertical view. You can place 3 over here, right? And let's come to the phone. In phone, you can only place 1, right? You are only able to place one card. And then same for horizontal. Horizontal you can place 2 because you increase the size of the screen. So this is how responsive design works. You design the website according to the size of the screen. Instead of demonstrating a complicated example, what I want to do is take a simple case and teach you based on that, so that you guys can try to explore more and deal with the complicated case. Okay, so I'll start with the boilerplate and then I'll link the CSS part. Okay, what I want to do is, instead of taking this example that I provided in Figma file, I'll just take 2 things. So I'll try to do this. So let's assume this is the desktop view. I want 2 divs. So if I go over here and I want to, let's say the class name is called content, and then inside the content div I have 2 more divs. So that's 2 more boxes. Let me call it box 1 box, and then I have another of the same box. Okay, so inside each box, let me say I have some dummy content. I'll use lorem ipsum for now. Same goes over here. Okay, so inside one big div, I have 2 small divs with some content in it. Let's do the CSS part. Let's say I want each individual box to be of color black. So what I'll do is I'll give the background color property of black, and then let's say I want the width of the box to be 500 pixels. Let me make it a square by giving the height as 500 pixels as well. Okay, then to make the text look visible, I'll change the color to white. I'll increase the font size a bit by giving it 40 pixels. And then to make the text come in the center of the box, let me give some padding of 30 pixels. Okay, so that's a box done. Now the content has 2 boxes, which I want to give a flex property. So I will give content. So I'll give display flex, and then I want them to be aligned horizontally. So that'll be flex direction row, and I want them to have like a gap in between, right? So I'll try to give a gap property of 50 pixels. Okay, after that, to make all the boxes come into, like, there should be some space in the top and left, I'll give a margin of, let's say 100 pixels for now. So if I open this up in a browser, it should look something like this. Okay, we can work with this. This looks fine on a desktop. What do you guys think will happen when we open it on a mobile phone? Okay, ideally what we would want is for this box to go down, because we don't have the horizontal space that we have on a desktop on a mobile phone, right? Mobile phone's width is really small, right? So what we want to do is we want to put this down over here. But if we look at this, if we open this up on a mobile view, let me open it on a Galaxy Note 20. This is how it'll look like. Not the best. It's actually really bad. And we don't want a website to look like this when someone opens it on a mobile phone, right? We want it to look better. So this is where media query comes in. You will change how the like the divs and the fonts and the colors and stuff like that work. But if they open the same website on a mobile phone, so let me demonstrate. For example, let's say let me go to responsive view. I want, so currently it's at 1300 pixels. I want this div to go down when it is at, let's say, 950 pixels. So after 950, it's a 952 right now. After 950 pixels, I want this div to go down. It shouldn't appear on the right side, right? So let me do that by using the property called media. Okay, here we provide something called max width, and then we provide the pixel that we want to change it. Okay, so when it reaches 950, so it's basically 950 and below, what properties do you want to change? So what I want to change is, I want to change the flex direction to column. So I'll do content as a class name, and then I want flex direction to become column instead of row. What this will do is, when the resolution changes, dips below 950 pixels, it will override this property from here by this property. I hope that makes sense. So whenever let's say you open on a screen with a pixel range more than 950, all of this will be applied, right? But once you go below 950 or 950 and below, this will be overwritten by this. So all of this will still be there. So for example, flex, gap, margin, everything will be there, but flex direction property that you mentioned over here will be overwritten by flex direction column over here. Okay, so we can see this in action. So I'll save this document, and if I currently, it's at 964 pixels, if I go below 950, you can see the transition that's happening, right? We'll try to change more things. So let's say if I want the font size to change, or let's say I want the background color to change when it reaches 950 pixels. So what I'll do is, at a media screen, I'll make max width of 850 pixels, and I want to change the background color of the box, let's say background color to red, for example, and I want to change the font color, just color to black, for example, right? I also want to change the font size. I see, like, do you get the point? Like, you can basically write more CSS queries which will override whatever you have provided here, right? It does not have to be just these properties. You can provide more properties. Let's say you want a text decoration, you want it to be dotted, for example, right? These are like few things that can be changed. So if I dip below 850 right now, you can see that the changes are taking place. The color has changed, the font size has changed, right? I want to, let's say, reduce the margin for content when it reaches 850. So what I'll do is, I'll add dot content and change the margin to, let's say, 20 pixels, right? So if I go over here, we can see that two things are happening. Box properties are changing and content properties are changing. I hope that makes sense. So this is how you would typically write media queries. Again, this is a basic example of how media queries work. I probably covered like maybe 5 to 10%. Try to explore more of this. This is just the foundation, and we'll try to build up upon this in the coming classes. And I hope this will help solve the assignment that I give. Also, to look into this, there's like flex wrap properties. Look into flex wrap and stuff like that, which will also help in designing for different screens. So flex wrap, another important property that for now we have discussed about display flex. Look into display grid. So I'd say after flex, grid is one of the most important properties in CSS, but flex will always be on the top. So it's crucial that everyone masters flex. And the next thing you want to do is look into grid. Okay, few of you have used display absolute, position absolute in the assignment 1. Try to avoid absolute positioning. Use it in the worst case scenario, or if there's no other option, always stick with flex or grid. That's the most useful. Okay, that's about it. The assignment 2 will focus more on mastering the flex property. It's a really good exercise that I have developed, and it will also help you guys work on media queries. Again, media queries will be a bit easy on the assignment that I give, but please look more into media queries because it's really crucial nowadays to design for mobile displays as well, as majority of the traffic comes through mobile. And contrary to popular belief, the websites are used less on a desktop. So designing for mobile is crucial nowadays. All right, that's about it. Sorry for the delay again. I hope more people submit assignment 2. This assignment is I'd say more important than assignment 1 because it deals with a lot more CSS stuff. Okay, thank you.